what does retirement mean to you?
It means nothing.
And how old are you at the moment? Is Wikipedia correct?
Man.
Don't answer that.
Yeah, you can't put that out there. It's negative mojo out in the atmosphere because all of a sudden, then everybody starts calling me sir.
Oh, yes.
You know?
We don't want that.
No.
So what does retirement mean? Like, so you're not retired, are you?
No. See, I have never understood the concept of retirement. Now, I guess for people who are trapped in a role and they just really wake up every day and can't wait to not have to do that, then yeah, retirement I guess would be a good thing. But everything I have been running around the world talking about is about avoiding that situation in your life, because if you find that you can learn anything and you really embrace that from the time you're young or really at any age, then you can find those things that will allow you to live and generate income for you and your family without having to feel like you have to retire. I think that's the ultimate goal, to be doing something that you love so much. You
don't need to escape from.
Why would you want to retire? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, education is freedom. Who did you write this book for?
Originally, I wrote it for young people because I was one of those kids that could have been trapped behind a machine in a factory.
Yeah.
As my dad did and many of my siblings did. And that very easily could have been me. But the path for me was this idea that with knowledge, education is something that no one can take from you.
Yeah.
And the more you learn, the more you can do. It's a relatively simple formula. It's like, I think someone, may have been Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger or something, that said education is like, learning is like compound interest.
Yeah.
It just keeps growing over time if you let it, if you nurture it. And so, yeah, that was my escape. So I wrote this book to encourage young people especially to learn, to say, I'm not one of these people that believes that certain people have some DNA that makes them smart and other people that they're not smart. I don't buy that. I think anyone has the power to learn.
Yeah.
Maybe we have different learning styles.
Okay, this is interesting. At age 50, you had a transition in your life.
Yeah.
You had spent, I think, 20 years at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And you were the CEO and you...
21 years.
Yeah.
And who's counting?
Yeah, not I. And then...
It's a lot of Slurpees.
That was... What was that period like? Because you'd been with the company for a while, you would let it, and then you moved after the merger or saw that through.
Yeah.
And what was your headspace? And this is a good chance to talk maybe about the Blockbuster story.
Yeah.
In Australia, an old house, when you flip houses, we call them a fixer-upper or a renovator's delight.
Oh, yeah.
What was in your head in 2011 saying, I'm going to do the old fixer-upper on a Blockbuster?
2007.
Sorry. You were there from 7 till 11.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
And because there were skeletons in that closet once you got to your desk, right?
There's more than skeletons.
So what was that transition like? And,
Well, first of all, this is a really important question because people often spend many years of their life doing one thing, and that becomes their identity. So 7-Eleven was my identity.
You were the guy.
Yeah, I was the guy. And people would say, oh, that's Jim, 7-Eleven. And then when you leave, all of a sudden there's this natural, very human identity crisis. It's like, heaven forbid someone would ask me what I do. And what am I going to say?
Yeah.
Nothing, right? Yeah. So I struggled with that. And I think we all go through that natural problem. And I call it a problem on purpose because it's a trap, because 7-Eleven was not my identity.
Right.
But I made it my identity. I let other people determine it to be my identity. And the very first thing, which is the best thing I could have done, is to take some time off. And one of the things I did in my time off was to go study art. Yeah,
That's
I was
interesting.
Fortunate enough to be accepted into the Florence Academy of Art in Italy which is a very, very serious art school. It's a 3-year program. You have to be an established artist to get in, but I think they needed some help with trying to build a new school and raise the money for it. And so they invited me to come in and experience it. And I took painting and sculpture and, doing plein air painting, overlooking the piazza, on the Piazza di Michelangelo, overlooking, the Ponte Vecchio and the Duomo, was just an amazing, amazing experience. But what it really did for me is to clear my head and to remind me that my identity was not 7-Eleven. Now, all of a sudden, I'm an artist. And I have busloads of tourists coming up and putting coins in my ball cap that was on the ground. I know. And this is after a pretty good equity payday at 7-Eleven. So my art teacher thought that was pretty amusing that they'd be putting, a couple of euros in my ball cap on the ground. But I was now an artist, and I realized that my identity can be whatever I want it to be. All I have to do is learn something new. And now that can be my identity. Or you know what? Maybe my identity can be, he's a Renaissance man. He can do anything.
Yeah.
Because I've cracked the code on learning to learn.
Hey, it's Glenn here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money, Money, Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, and there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.